just ahead on the Best of John Miller, the dish on a deadly delicacy.
Yeah, you have two issues with it. You know, either you will eat it and die, or you will eat it and have to pay the bill.
Learn about a meal that some are gobbling up, despite the fact you're putting your life in the chef's hands. Also, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Meet a young salesperson who came and sold and left a lot of satisfied sweet teeth in her wake. Plus, are you interested in a DeSoto or a Studebaker that's just slightly used?
There's 8,000 square feet of car parts in there.
John visits an Idaho junkyard where the classics are always in style. And we show you a 4-year-old fiddler who will knock your socks off with his skills.
Discover the lighter side of Northwest living as Idaho's News Channel 7 presents The Best of John Miller.
Thanks for joining us. I'm David Augusto. First up, Japanese pufferfish is one of the finest delicacies in the world, but if it's prepared incorrectly, it's also one of the most dangerous. John has more on a dining experience that you may find hard to swallow.
There is a sea creature that has reached these shores so deadly it can kill you with one bite.
This is to die for.
This is the beast.
That is a nasty looking thing.
Ray Sundstrom among those waiting for a bite.
Well, we're going to have fugu today, which is the Japanese name for the pufferfish.
Right.
The reality of fugu is as shocking as the sight of its hacked up flesh. You see, the guts of this little guy contain enough poison to kill 24 people. And there were only 8 of us.
Prepared wrong, it can be deadly.
Oh, that's good to know.
So here at Shiki, that's where Chef Ken Yamamoto comes in.
He is a card-carrying fugu expert.
One of only a handful in America.
There's about 15 or 20 places that are licensed to serve fugu.
So Ken delicately dissects the so-called safe parts, some destined for soup, others for sashimi, all the while a stuffed specimen hanging hauntingly overhead.
By itself, it doesn't look too dangerous.
Especially wearing a top hat.
Still, every year, dozens of naive Japanese fishermen die from ill-prepared fugu, a fact that won't faze first-time fuguer Rob McGregor.
Absolutely. Just give me enough sake.
The fact is, to get his license, Ken had to catch one, clean it, eat it, and survive it himself. The Japanese joke goes that you get a certificate either way.
Yeah, you have two issues with it. You know, either you will eat it and die, or you will eat it and have to pay the bill.
So there it was, this poisoned fish, perfectly prepared.
Where did we put the will?
Is there something you have to sign before you eat this stuff, or you just do it?
You're fearless.
Worth the wait.
Though it takes at least 2 hours for the poison to kill you, they wouldn't want you to buy the farm until you've bought your dinner.
Okay.
It tastes very good.
Really good. Everyone happy for having survived,
Kampai.
or possibly from having the sake.
I'll tell you what, it tastes better than it looks.
Good news here, John survived his fugu experience, and if you want to survive yours, you'll need a thick wallet. A full fugu meal can cost close to $200. Wow. All right, now to a museum a cut above the rest. In fact, you could cut just about anything with the exhibits at Wayne Sutton's place, which is why John went to the cutting room to put together this story.
Here beneath the tall pines of southern Washington could be one of the most strange and least visited tourist attractions in the world.
Well, this is the room.
You're going to run out of room here.
But Wayne Sutton will never run out of chainsaws. A lifetime spent surrounded by and dealing in them. He's now the curator
of Wayne's Chainsaw Museum. My first chainsaw that I got was essentially this machine here.
That chainsaw led to another chainsaw, and another, 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 and another. Sort of like an unending chain in itself.
That's right, it's an endless reel of chain, except for me it's an endless reel of saws.
So how many are there?
Well, there's about 500 or 600 in this room.
Not to mention clocks, cups, and cards, trinkets, and toys.
That's my speed right there.
Yeah, Charles Wolfe, in about 1921, he got his first patent for an electrically powered chainsaw.
Right. And an awfully safe looking thing, I might add.
Awfully would be a good adjective to use there, yeah.
Yeah. If I was to fire up one of these saws, roughly how long would it take me to saw my face off?
Well, I would give you a little coaching first, and we'd try and prevent that altogether.
That's all right. Where do you get 1,000 chainsaws? I mean, sure, you get a guy who says, oh, you need this one, or I got an old saw in my garage, but 1,000?
I've spent $500 on a chainsaw before.
So you go like on eBay, hey honey, I found this killer McCullough on eBay. I gotta have it.
That doesn't usually work.
Really?
No.
But it should be noted, after 20-odd years of Steel, Echo, Remington, McCullough, Wright, everything Dayton, and dated like Barker, Pioneer, and Titan, Wayne's still got one very supportive wife. And how many fingers?
10.
Look at that. Not to mention an occasional field trip from the local senior center.
That's right. Get out the van and the walkers and come on in.
And anybody else?
Anybody else.
Come on down. Wayne knows it may be a little cliched and corny to say so, but it's definitely the most cutting-edge museum you
Ever saw.
I get it. Ever saw? Want to know more about Wayne Sutton's Chainsaw Museum? Well, he doesn't have a website, just a phone number, 360-740-7622. All right, she's one tough cookie. For some reason, no one can say no to 7-year-old Kendra Lara, the rookie cookie queen of Brownie Troop 152. As John tells us, when asked to sell a few dozen boxes, Kendra sold several hundred.
Girl Scout USA. What does that say? Silver Sage, California. I'm in troop 152. These are my pins.
And Kendra's her name.
Right, I can spell it backwards.
But give her this job and it's full speed ahead.
How many do most girls sell?
80 or 30 or something like that.
And you sold how many?
520.
A 7-year-old munchkin on a Thin Mint mission.
Hi, my name is Kendra. I wanted to know if you'd like to order some Girl Scout cookies.
And apparently few in the 4 neighborhoods, 1 grocery store, and elementary school she covered could say no to this face.
Hello.
How much did all this total up to?
$1,500.
By now, you're probably thinking her dad had something to do with this.
He was too busy working.
He was busy working, huh?
Yay!
So you had to do this all.
And making a pool for the Super Bowl.
Kendra says most credit goes to her mom for driving her around.
Yes,
You don't like this camera at all, do you?
I do.
Which made me ask what the 7-year-old sales sensation aspires to be someday.
Come on, this is your chance.
Well, you are.
You want to be what I am? You're kidding me. You want to be a TV reporter.
Right.
But for now, she says she'll stick to serious business, selling cookies.
It's $2.89 a box.
Next year, she's gonna sell even more.
Oh, yeah. 1,000.
And someday, who knows? John Miller and
Kendra Lara, Idaho's News Channel 7.
All right.
What a smile. We're happy to report Kendra did find a way to deliver all 520 boxes. Still to come on the Best of John Miller. They're learning about space virtually on their own. John shows us one school's very special science project. And next, Don Brown is a trained collector.
Anything marked RR, I'd buy it.
He shows us through his homemade museum of railroad antiques coming up. Welcome back. It was one of those days when John went hobby hunting, and he was right on track when he found Don Brown, whose career became an obsession and at last check was still choo-choo chugging along.
odds are if it rode the rails across the West, there's a piece of it in Don Brown's living room.
Or just like this chamber pot.
And what does that say? Please don't throw this out the window.
Yeah.
Why was that? Just simple logic there, huh?
Yeah, simple logic.
From a simple time when railroads were made mostly of steam and brass and glass.
Yeah, there used to be thousands of passenger trains all over America. And you could go anywhere on a passenger train.
Yeah.
And those old trains that used to cross the country still cross the wall in Don's hallway.
So you like these old films, huh?
Now that is really a neat sight.
Edna Brown doesn't even mind being hitched to a railroad junkie.
He was working on the railroad when we got married 50 years ago.
Yeah. So, and he's kind of never really left, huh?
No, he's never left it.
At first, anything marked railroad, I'd buy it. I didn't care which railroad it was.
And that goes for signs, lanterns, chalkboards, movies, hats?
Locks and keys, and anything marked RR, I'd buy it.
You didn't rip these off now, did you?
No, the guy gave them to me.
All right.
He said if I could get him in my car, I could have them.
Usually the wives tell me that their husbands are a little bit crazy.
Well, a little bit maybe.
And maybe it's sad to see old pieces of Americana roll their way toward extinction, but good to know a few old railroads are still alive and riding the reels through Don Brown's hallway.
Coming up, move over, Jake Plummer. Here comes Nanook, a football-playing dog. And these made their way down the road long before the information superhighway. We visit a junkyard full of vintage vehicles when the best of John Miller returns. Welcome back. For all the places he went and all the people he met, Charles Kuralt forgot one. And it's probably a good thing, because no one could explain Les Hopkins and his massive hobby in just 2 minutes, except perhaps John Miller.
Leaning there on that faded 1950 Chevy pickup, dangling that stained old coffee mug he brought back from some ancient fishing trip, Les Hopkins took the words right out of my mouth.
You don't know where to start, do you?
And looking out over his horizon of antique Plymouths and Studebakers, he explained,
The real car buffs just kind of go nuts when they get in here.
Yeah, I gotta say, Les, this is the coolest place I've ever seen.
39 Dodge, 41 Chevy,
cars and trucks,
parts and pieces.
if it rolled off an assembly line before 1960, it's lying out there somewhere.
And you got your hoods over there. You got your bumpers over there. What do you got there?
A 34 Chevy pickup door.
We talked about his hubcap barn and reflected on all his mirrors.
That's a 35 Plymouth or Dodge.
You got a shed that's just fans.
Yeah.
He's got a 47 Chevy pickup with a $300 price tag.
It's a fixer-upper, huh?
Yeah, I might have to throw a few extra parts in with it.
No problem there.
There's 8,000 square feet of car parts in there.
A couple thousand antique taillights and more door latches than he can handle.
Just little knickknacks, finishing up stuff.
Les went on to explain that while most of these old classics aren't pretty, a lot of them are sold.
Getting older every day, better.
What is, the car or you?
Well, both.
And now that he'd helped me start telling his story, I hoped he could help me finish.
Write me a last line there, Les.
Well, if you're interested in old cars, come out and have a look. Well, it's a lot of place to look at.
Amazing. Now, we got so many phone calls the first time this story aired, we decided to save you a thumb through the phone book. Hopkins Antique Auto is just north of Caldwell, and their phone number is 459-2877. Well, have you ever noticed how quickly kids take to computers these days? It seems the more uses they find for computers, the more you'll find the kids at the controls. That's kind of the idea behind a class John visited in Boise, where students studied real-world problems and came up with real-world solutions. They did it by clicking a mouse to create their own virtual world.
My name's Travis Gingrich.
And at 12 years old, Travis and his classmates aren't quite ready to change the world. First, they have to build it.
We were building molecules.
We're working on building a car.
We're creating a comet, Hail Bob, and it's going to fly across the screen.
Think of it as a story. Each page a piece of animation like this one, created by these kids.
So what's your stake in all this?
What? I'm the sound guy.
Sort of like a music video, only it's going to air on a computer screen.
if it sounds complicated.
Actually, it's not that complicated.
They have to work as a little production crew. The person who's doing the sound has to know what the person who's developing an object, when they're going to be finished, how is that going to interact.
Producing the story of a virtual world with a depleted ozone layer.
It'll be just like regular Earth. And if we can do things in here, we can do them in the world and solve world's problems.
With the help of producer Warren Black.
So this is like taking what you learned on your dad's PC to a much
This is
higher
taking
level.
it to a level where even people working in major corporations making large amounts of dollars are not even doing.
This builds skills for life, you know, and we can learn stuff here that we can't get in regular school.
And can your dad tell you about any of this stuff?
Actually, I'm telling him about this.
And at 17, Stephen McGuire's making career plans.
I'm hoping to become a computer scientist.
Or a graphics designer, or an oceanographer.
You're halfway to the ocean already.
Yeah.
Building a virtual world today so they can help improve it tomorrow.
It's a great experience.
Now, when the kids finished their project, they used virtual reality goggles to actually enter their virtual world. Forget the toys, Alex is playing for keeps. We meet a young man on key for a bright future. And next, it's not often you see a football player with a tail.
He gets up there and really knocks him down. And
we'll show you some of Nanook's four-legged football moves when we return to the best of John Miller. Welcome back. In January, many TV sets are always tuned to football for bowl games and the Super Bowl. We have the story of one unlikely football star who you might say fights tooth and nail, or better yet, fang and claw. As John shows us, you probably won't see this athlete in any bowl game.
Cool. In a year that brought us skateboarding dogs.
You gotta be kidding me.
And dogs that tell you they love you. Sort of.
Stay.
It seems only fitting we should go out with more of a bang than a whimper with Nanook, who won't go when Joshua Gonzalez says or. But when he says look out.
He won't go on hut, huh?
No.
What does he go on?
Hike.
Why not hut?
I just trained him not to go on hut, but on hike.
After all, we wouldn't want Nanook to be offsides.
How's the slobber taste when he lands on you?
Very bad.
Very bad. His attention span isn't too good either, calling timeouts for large trucks, rollerblading dogs, even commercial jetliners. Nanook became more interested in committing illegal procedure with the cats across the street.
This is embarrassing. Hike!
And after a while, it was becoming painful.
he gets up there and really knocks him down. And
He seems not to care for the media either, huh?
And one thing's for sure,
got an awful lot of slobber.
And an awful lot of power for a 1-year-old dog fensive lineman able to knock a 12-year-old quarterback right on his tail.
Hike!
Love that story. Nanook is also allegedly an accomplished dancer, so maybe we'll head back during dancing season, whenever that is. Next, on the best of John Miller, we meet a young man who's playing like a pro at an age where many kids can barely tie their own shoelaces. Well, here's proof that practice does indeed make perfect. All you have to do is look at the playing talents of a little fiddler with the name of Alex Duncan. He'll practice anytime, anywhere, and play for anyone. John tunes us into this 4-year-old musician who sounds like he's been playing his whole life.
Tell me about playing the fiddle. What do you like best about it?
Playing,
Why?
because it's fun.
How long have you been taking lessons?
8 months. Well, I learned it when I was 3. That's when I started to do it.
And now that he's 4, Alex Duncan plays just about everywhere.
No, I don't.
Well, he's probably the only fiddler who performs concerts for the kids at daycare.
One time I did.
Did you? What did the kids think of you there?
They think I'm stupid at it.
The kids think you're stupid?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know.
How's Matt teaching you?
Pretty good. He knows pretty good.
Yeah.
Better than me.
Actually, his teacher, Matthew Hartz, is better than most in the world.
And I basically have his full attention for an hour if I want it, which is highly unusual. I mean, it's the eyes, you know, you can see just an overall higher level of awareness. His dexterity level is unusually good.
And it's gotten better since he was a 3-year-old practicing in his pajamas last July, up through September, and then his first big recital in a real concert hall.
So what about your dad's office?
I don't know. He just works there.
And occasionally, so does Alex.
I wish my kid knew how to do that.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've got a 4-year-old, and I just can't imagine him doing this.
I mean, you're talking a little 4-year-old.
A 4-year-old with one proud papa.
Well, this is just sort of a learning experience, and the violin's a pretty big challenge.
Like life itself, a big open page for a wide-eyed 4-year-old who for now isn't afraid to let his fingers find the way.
When John last talked to Alex, he was also picking up the guitar and planned someday to pick up the books to learn to be a doctor. Great. Good luck, Alex. All right, that'll do it for now. We'll see you next week as we look at more of the best of John Miller. See ya.
Cue up the banjo music.
Idaho!
How's it going?
She is cheating.
Oh, man.
Revenge is